Andrew Berry spoke to the media at the NFL Combine today on a various amount of topics. We're going to break it all down. Your latest Browns 3D starts now. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound Browns 3D, brought to you by the OBR and, of course, the great folks over at State Sharpening Mower Sales and Service. I'm your host, Jeff Lloyd. We appreciate everybody continuing coming out for your nightly streaming content here on, of course, the OBR. You can catch it on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. You can also catch it over on Twitch. Make sure you subscribe there. With it being NFL Combine Week, there is a ton of written content out already today for you to absorb. So go ahead and check everything out. Fred Greetham in Indianapolis, Brad Stainbrook in Indianapolis. So you want Browns coverage, we've got you covered in spades. Andrew Berry spoke today to the media. Kevin Stefanski will speak tomorrow to the media. We will have you guys backed up there. Of course, for tonight, make sure you stick around after we're done here. The React with Pete Smith and Brad Ward. And then the fantastic crew from Garage Beers will be on at 9 p.m. Eastern. So certainly, Andrew was going to be approached and asked on a variety of topics, some of which we have no intention on speaking of. I cannot believe some of you people drove 6 hours from the Cleveland area to Indianapolis to even ask a question in regards to Deshaun Watson. Come on, guys. That car ride was not worth that question. However, several fantastic questions and topics were brought up to Andrew Berry today. Looking at them as far as tiering them and biggest storyline, I don't think there's anything bigger than, of course, number 95, Myles Garrett. And basically, I guess, the assumption, not the assumption, what was looking to be ascertained from the group was, essentially an update on, the Myles Garrett situation. Andrew Berry did mention that, there had been a ton of dialect between the Browns and Myles before the trade request went public. Andrew Berry also said there has been dialect afterwards. So that seems certainly positive. When asked about, I guess, if there was any change in the Browns' stance as far as moving on from Myles Garrett, I think Andrew pretty abruptly basically told us all nothing has changed. They have no intention of moving on from Myles. He was asked about how many teams had contacted him in regards to possibly inquiring, setting up a conversation in regards to trading for Myles Garrett. And Andrew Berry basically said it was irrelevant because nothing has changed and he still has no intention on trading his best player. There were, some asks as far as, Myles and his contract. This is one that, I don't think, is really any hang up whatsoever. I have zero issue to believe that the Cleveland Browns would not extend Myles, would not give him more money, would not, again, make him the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. Browns would have no issue doing that. Myles Garrett has earned every dime they have paid him. And if Myles feels he's worth more, he's certainly not going to have a problem with the Cleveland Browns agreeing with him that he is worth more. Andrew did make it sound like this is something that may not happen right away. Which is fine. It could be a situation, where Myles' contract is, basically, added on to what he's making already, or the Browns tear up the existing contract and just give him a big, fat, juicy, shiny one. Certainly all things, on the table. I don't think really, in my opinion, nothing's changed. I don't want to move him. I do not see a way, because with any trade, you want to basically talk yourself into, how is this going to improve me? And if it is truly contenders that Myles wants to go to, which is about maybe 3 teams in the AFC and about 3 teams in the NFC, maybe not even 3 in the NFC, where they would all be slotted and compensation. And, I just don't see a way the Cleveland Browns get better, improve greatly from trading Myles Garrett. And, for all of you who pick on Andrew Berry, you can't draft, his drafts are terrible, but they have to trade Myles. Okay, so why is he trading Myles and accumulating most likely what is going to be more draft picks if you guys think he can't draft? So why would he do that? Again, I don't agree with you all. I love you all. I think you're a bunch of crazies. I'm crazy too, but, I don't agree with you guys in this stance anyway whatsoever. And, none of us know. And, and it's not like Myles Camp's going to tell us, is there an avenue the Browns can go besides giving Myles a lot more money, which they were okay with? Is there an avenue that, the Browns can go as far as, roster construction that's going to appease Myles? None of us know this. I doubt Myles went in and said, it has to be quarterback at 2, and we'll get to that because Adam Schefter, please. Just please, Adam Schefter, just give us the information. We don't need the analysis. So could it pick up in regards to Myles Garrett getting moved? Look, you've been told once, we've been told twice, we've been told 3 times now. Andrew Berry has no inclination or interest or desire to trade Myles Garrett. I don't blame him. You all vilify him anyway. So trading Myles Garrett would only vilify him worse, and most likely would lead to a path where his future in Cleveland would be over. He spoke, Andrew Berry, and I'm assuming, this is probably why every intention in their body is to keep Myles Garrett around, is trying to put together a roster that is going to compete each and every year. And certainly there have been off seasons and drafts where, everybody said, wow, Browns really, really did well. And, 2020, it led to some good things. 2023, it led to some good things. 21, 22, 24, it did not. And again, are we satisfied? Are we wishing we were better? No, we're not satisfied. We were wishing we were better. We were wishing more consistent. But you can't sit in the backyard and worry about what went down, how it went down, how we got here. You dig yourself up and you get yourself to the front yard, which is the promised land, and trying to see what is next for this team. What is the future of this team? How this team can be bettered. That is where all the attention should be. And if that is where your attention isn't, if you want to sit and still be miserable over 2024, God bless you. I have zero chance of going through these talks again. It didn't go well. And we all know where it started to go well. Right around this time, 3 years ago, was where it all really, really went wrong. And they were able to overcome it in 2023. Obviously, they weren't able to overcome it in 2024. But now it is back to getting this team rebuilt. Does free agency play into this? I'm not saying they're not going to bring in a body or two. I don't see any big money going out in free agency this year. There will be some names that certainly could be of interest for them to maybe be a high ticket item. Defensive line, defensive end, wide receiver market's terrible. Running back market, and we're going to get to this in regards to Nick Chubb. Those running backs who got paid last year, good on them. Because I don't know how that's going to work this year. Because with this class of running backs in this draft, it's going to be real tough to be a veteran running back sitting, waiting on a free agent deal. But the goal should be to compete every year. It's not about having a long-term plan. It should be about, I have the resources. I have the financial resources. I have the draft capital. What do I have to do to get this team back to relevancy in 2024? 5, rather. That is Andrew Berry's mission right now and nothing else. And I think it's achievable. I truly do. It's going to come down to an important move, certainly, or moves, I should say, as to who is going to be under center for the Cleveland Browns in 2025. Absolutely a major move, and certainly one that's going to, give everybody the opinion of whether or not, this team can or cannot be legitimate in 2025. We'll get to some thoughts on that, too, that came from the Atlanta Falcons general manager, Jeff Lloyd. Your latest Browns 3D rolls on. We have been talking about our good friends, State Sharpening, Mower Sales and Service in Broadview Heights. They've been really good to us. We're glad to have them here with us. If you are local to the Cleveland area, they are your one-stop shop for all things lawn equipment. Is there anything worse than missing the Browns game because you've got lawn chores to do? State has the best lineup of new Cub Cadet mowers to cut your mowing time down, as well as genuine parts and expert factory-trained technicians to get your existing mower back into peak shape. Whether you're in the market for a state-of-the-art Ultima Zero Turn or the top dog Enduro Series tractor, let State Sharpening and Cub Cadet help you keep your weekend yours. Veteran-owned, the Kane family are lifetime Clevelanders, lifetime Browns fans, huge supporters of us here at the OBR. Again, if you are local to Cleveland, State Sharpening Mower Sales and Service in Broadview Heights is your hometown team for all your lawn equipment needs. All their info is at statesharp.com. That is STATESHARP.com. I guess the second one, and this is probably the biggest one as far as Browns related. Speaking about Nick Chubb probably hitting the free agent market. And this, in a smaller scale, is kind of similar to maybe what the Rams are doing with Matthew Stafford. Sometimes when you have a relationship with your player and it comes time to start talking about a contract, an extension, new contract, in Nick's case, obviously, sometimes sentimental worth can cause issues in what is a realistic contract for a player and for a franchise to give said player. And let's keep in mind, the Browns did right by Nick Chubb last year, right around this time with his contract. But this could be where the Browns are basically saying, we don't necessarily know what your market is right now, Nick. And that's probably fair to say. I don't think we're concerned about the injury that ended his 2024 season. We're more concerned is how much is Nick Chubb going to look like the old Nick Chubb? Because I think we're all in agreement what we saw in 2024 was not the Nick Chubb that we have all been accustomed to all these times in Cleveland. Nick has been through 2 devastating, serious injuries. There's no question around it. Do I think the Browns would probably match or pay a little more on any offer Nick were to get in the open market? I do. And that gets back to that sentimentality type of thing. Nick has just been an absolute, genuine, perfect model, employee, teammate, citizen of Cleveland and his time here. He's done all the charity work he's been asked to do and more. He has always spoke of this team and this franchise in high regard, never disrespected a teammate, spoke not much, but it was always available for any media availability. So there's 2 ways I look at this. And if you just look at it on the surface, Nick, we all know, wasn't 100% last year, but still was under 4 yards per carry. That's a tough number, man. Nowadays, you're looking north of 4.5. And that's kind of what always kind of was where Nick was at. I mean, it was north of 5. Let's not be kidding ourselves. Was the offensive line an issue? 100%. Was the passing game of the offense not doing enough to scare everybody that teams weren't loading the boxes? Absolutely. All true. But also to pay Nick a number now based on where you think he's going to be in September is something that I don't think anybody has a true answer of what it is. So I think it would be, kind of similar. Here's some money. This is what you can make. We're willing to pay for hitting incentive, this incentive, that incentive, that incentive. That is probably what the real part of me inside thinks about Nick Chubb and his future. Here's the part that kind of, I don't know if anybody's going to want to hear. I've seen this fan base and social media turn on so many players. So if Nick Chubb is no longer Nick Chubb, or not a high enough fractional amount of Nick Chubb that becomes a top performer on the field for this team, maybe it is time for Nick Chubb to go in another avenue. Because the last thing I want to see is this fan base or its wild social media turn on a guy like Nick Chubb. That would really, really be a difficult thing to witness for a guy who has been so great on the field, so great off the field, so great within the community, so great within the locker room. My head says Nick Chubb returns to the Cleveland Browns. My heart says maybe it's not the worst thing in the world if Nick Chubb decides it's time for something different. Andrew Berry was asked about the most polarizing player in this year's draft. And there's no question about it. He is absolutely the most polarizing player. Best? Probably not. But the most polarizing player. And that is without doubt Travis Hunter from Colorado. Now, it was interesting, and I know Pete and I just talked on this the other day, in regards to Travis Hunter. And look, every roster is going to look at him different. Every team is going to look at him different. If I'm the Browns right now, knowing I have right off the bat 5 guys under contract at the cornerback position, I'm not saying he could never be a cornerback here for the Cleveland Browns. But they basically asked Andrew, and Andrew Berry basically said that the Cleveland Browns view Travis Hunter more as a wide receiver. They have corners. They need wide receiver help. As I said, I don't know where they're going to be able to pull the rabbit out of the hat on a trade this year. And, it's not very real that the wide receiver free agent market is ever anything much. So they viewed Hunter as a corner. And then Andrew basically did double back and, bring up the unicorn aspect. That Travis Hunter can obviously help you certainly on both sides of the football. But, this is kind of, what I feel. And, Pete and I have, been in agreement on this and talked a lot on this in regards to Travis Hunter. And again, though, you have to keep in mind, for me, when you break Travis Hunter into 2 separate players, I think, the brightness of the star that is Travis Hunter certainly dims a little bit. He certainly dims a little bit. And, Travis Hunter at 2, probably not. Travis Hunter in the top 5, not for me. You want to say Travis Hunter somewhere in that 5 to 10 range, I think that is the absolute sweet spot. It is. Unless somebody is just so enamored and wants to play around with and see if there's a possibility that you can use him and get legitimate production from him as a 2-way guy. I just, again, don't see it. Jeremiah Usu-Koramoah. The name came up, and, I think Andrew wanted to make it sound like maybe it was an update, but it was, definitely didn't sound like much of an update in my opinion. Basically used the word some progression, but didn't give any, positives, benchmarks, things we're looking out for after that. So, I mean, this situation with JOK, I don't think we're any closer to any determination of what exactly is the injury. If he's going to be able to return, when he's going to be able to return. This could be something where, they remain silent on this for a while. And maybe this is something we'll hear about in March. And maybe it'll be by a move the Browns make that'll tell us maybe what's going on in regards to Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, as opposed to getting any legit word on what exactly is going on with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. The Mike Vrabel stuff. What conversation do you folks think the Browns could have had with Mike Vrabel? Hey, Mike, we know you're basically the front runner for every head coaching job there is in the NFL. Any chance you want to stick around and still consult? Any chance you maybe want to be linebacker coach or defensive line coach? The day Mike Vrabel agreed to come and consult with the Cleveland Browns, everyone knew the deal. Hell, they knew the deal so much, whatever contract he had didn't even include the final season of the regular season. What conversation did you expect Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski to have with Mike Vrabel? Hey, Mike, I know you're going to go interview for every head coaching job there is, but is there any chance you want to stick around, make peanuts for money in a position that is so below your worth? I mean, come on, Mike Vrabel. And then I see people reacting on social media like and gasp. Oh, they didn't even talk to him. They didn't even make him an offer. What offer were they going to give him? He went to go coach the team he played for, starred for, won Super Bowls for. I mean, what conversation did you expect there to be between the Browns and Mike Vrabel? You guys just find things to get aggravated about and agitate and aggravate yourself about. I just don't get it. Atlanta Falcons general manager Terry Fontenot spoke today as well. And, this is Browns relevant, of course, in regards to Kirk Cousins. And I believe the date is March 12th in regards to Kirk Cousins and money. Come on, guys. You don't believe for a second the Atlanta Falcons are going to give Kirk Cousins $40-something million to stand around and watch Michael Penix play, do you? I don't know what's going on social media right now, and it's causing, certainly some issues, no doubt. But there is no answer as far as the Falcons and Kirk Cousins. If you're one of these ones that Kirk is your veteran of choice, the book has not been written yet. So relax. Kirk Cousins is still just as viable an option to be the bridge quarterback for the Cleveland Browns as he was a couple of weeks ago. So let everybody, getting their panties in a bunch, over nonsense garbage. Again, just foolishness. Adam Schefter is absolutely outstanding in what he does. He is the linchpin of information for the National Football League. The one thing Adam Schefter is not is an analyst. Adam Schefter delivers news, breaks news, gets us all the little nuggets that we all love so much. But he is not an analyst. And this is another thing. You all just take something and run with it. Adam Schefter, and I find it weird that Adam Schefter is actually, basically giving his own thoughts and analysis as opposed to what we're hearing, what I've been told after speaking with, those are normally the ways, and phrases we hear from Adam Schefter in regards to the information he's going to give. But to basically say, I think the Cleveland Browns are going to draft a quarterback at 2 because they have to. Because they have to. First off, they don't have to. And again, why do we say this about the Cleveland Browns, who already showed you in 2023 with the coach and system they have in place, they were able to find a quarterback off the street in November and get to the playoffs. But they have to draft a quarterback. The Tennessee Titans, with a second-year head coach who didn't do much in his first year, a new general manager because the old general manager couldn't find a quarterback. Why doesn't anybody say the Tennessee Titans have to draft a quarterback? Again, it makes zero zilch sense to me in any way whatsoever. Adam Schefter is one of the most important people in the NFL. But I can live without Adam Schefter trying to analyze NFL teams, what they're doing, and exactly how they are doing it. So that doesn't bother me. And it was just foolish that Adam all of a sudden decided to, voice his opinion. Now, one thing in regards to the draft and the quarterback position, it does seem, and I forget who it was, and I'm sorry, Teron Davenport, good friend, now with ESPN, Tennessee Titans beat reporter, spoke and said that the Titans seem to have a lot of interest in Shedeur Sanders and also have a lot of interest in Travis Hunter. This kind of coincides with Mel Kiper's mock today. And Mel Kiper had at number 2 overall the Cleveland Browns selecting Cam Ward out of Miami. I've told you all of this from jump. I'm not sure enough, let's put it that way, on Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders that I would take them at 2 if I'm Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, because I have one with less. But I've also said if it's going to be one of the 2 of them, for me, it's Cam Ward. And just so anybody understands how I'm phrasing this, this would be like your mother saying, I'm going to make you your favorite chicken, your favorite steak, whatever. But you have to eat all your vegetables. Okay, can I choose the vegetables you're going to make for me? And that's where my confidence level is with Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. But if you're telling me, gun to my head, I got to take one of them. If I got to take one of them, it would be Cam Ward. Not a knock, and I've been on record. It's the sacks for me with Shedeur Sanders. And I guess it was Greg Cosell. And, you get sacked a lot in the NCAA, you get sacked a lot in the NFL. And the way play calling is designed nowadays in the NFL, it has become such a paramount thing to not get sacked. Everything is about, hey, it could be a short pickup, it could be a long pickup, this, that, or the other thing. There is nothing in modern day play calling in football that stymies anything like a significant loss of yards, like you've seen with the sacks that Shedeur Sanders has taken in his time in Colorado. So if it is Cam Ward at 2, I'm in. I'm coming. It's not like I got an RSVP and, I'm responding within seconds. But if it's Cam Ward at 2, I want to see how it plays out. I think it could play out. Again, I don't have a high confidence meter that it's going to pan out, but that would certainly be for me. If I have to take one of them, I would like for it to be Cam Ward. So a lot, certainly today, speaking, Myles Garrett, from the lips of Andrew Berry in Indianapolis at the press conferences. on Nick Chubb, on Travis Hunter, on the Vrabel thing, which is just silly, some JOK, and, something that might be, and look, this all goes in ebbs and flows. Names get connected to teams all the time. But new name and possible connection for the Cleveland Browns at number 2 could possibly be that Cam Ward could still be on the board for the Browns when they selected number 2 overall. And if that is the case, and the Browns go that way, I'm in. But Adam Schefter, it won't be because they have to. It would be because they chose to. As always, we appreciate you all, coming out every day, checking out, of course, the nightly, content and streaming we're putting out here. Make sure you're subscribed over on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed over on Twitch, of course, to the OBR. Guys are busting their butts with all the written content, coming out fast and furious. It's one of the busiest weeks NFL news-wise of the entire calendar year. So make sure you're checking out all the written work over at the OBR. Everybody is crushing it. This has been Browns 3D, brought to you on the OBR by State Sharpening Mower Sales and Service. As always, big thanks to them. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd. Appreciate everybody for following along. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. Browns 3D, and we'll talk to y'all tomorrow.